If you stayed up all night researching trading indicators or strategies on YouTube, you need to watch this video. Now, if it was your first or second time, third time maybe, that's probably okay. But if you find yourself staying up late, trying to find that holy grail of an indicator, I think you're going to be disappointed. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of good programs out there and a lot of good indicators out there, but you need to pick one and stick with it. You need to give it enough time to see if it'll work, and you need to test it. Now, I know what it's like because I've been there. Not so much the YouTube route. YouTube didn't exist at the time. There used to be ads in the Wall Street Journal and most other major newspapers advertising trading strategies or indicators that you could try out. Some were free, some cost a lot of money. It all just depended on who was putting it out there. Now, depending on where you're at, if you've got one that you think is promising, test it out. Prove it to yourself. I've made several videos going over, how to back test. Some call it simulated trading. That's more of a forward test exercise and takes a lot more time because it's in the moment. Back testing, you can go back in time and test it against historical data. And before you invest any of your own hard-earned money on that new indicator, test it for yourself. Please, prove it to yourself that it works. You may find that, if you got a little bit of experience, you may rack up some wins, you may rack up some losses. Look at those losses and see if you applied it correctly. Or maybe there's a variable that you can tweak a little bit. And it would have prevented you from taking that trade, or it would have, whatever the outcome might have been, it just would have been positive. Whether you got out earlier, took a profit target sooner, whatever the case may be. But in the act of tweaking to prevent those losses, you need to go back and see how it affected the winners. Because what you're looking for is, a methodology that wins over time. You can't fall into the trap of continually tweaking parameters to solve a single problem. You need consistency. Now, I think that's probably one of the toughest things to, ingrain into your brain, as a new trader, is not living or dying in the moment. Applying your strategy over time and see if it'll win. Because you're going to lose. You're going to have losers. It's part of the game. It's inevitable. But with practice and with diligence in executing your plan, you can be consistent over time. That's really the secret sauce, folks. It's not the fancy indicator. It's not the latest hot tip. It's implementing your strategy consistently over time. That's how you have long-term success. Now, I know there's probably folks out there that are going to disagree, and that's fine. Everyone has their own approach. You may be someone who is chasing or looking for that big mover of the day or that hot tip. And if that's your strategy, more power to you. It's whatever works for you. I, on the other hand, don't have time for that. I would rather win the race slow and steady, not by a sprint. Sprints can be exciting. Slow and steady is safe and consistent. See, I look at this as a long-term game. It's a business that we're building. And in a business, in any business, you're going to start off as the new shop on the block. You don't have any customers, your profits are small. Heck, you probably feel like you're working for nothing because you're putting in all this time for very little reward. But anyone who's had a business or understands business, that's how it starts. And you build a clientele, you build a customer base, profits start coming in, aka, you find consistency in your trading strategy, and you can start depositing wins or watching your account grow, and you're gonna have some spoilage. Those losses, they're gonna happen. Don't let it derail you. Just understand it's part of it. No one's right 100% of the time. We've all suffered losses. You'll suffer losses. Losses are a part of the journey. They're I guess you would say they're a necessary evil, because without them, anyone could do it. There wouldn't be a market. You've got to have a loser and a winner on every trade. If you're lucky enough to score a win, there's someone on the other side that lost. And for every time that you lose, there's someone on the other side that won. So just understand it's part of it. Don't let it define who you are as a person or who you are as a trader. Now, when you're starting out, profits are going to be small, but losses should be small as well. If you place an entry and you've got a profit target and a stop loss entered as well, your wins will be smaller, but your losses will be smaller as well. And that's important to remember, because whether or not you win or lose, while that's important, it's not the most important aspect you should be focusing on. The most important thing you should be focusing on is, are you consistently executing your trading strategy? And what I mean by that is, are you executing it in the same fashion that you did when you tested it? You tested it against a fixed set of parameters, and if it showed you that it would perform over time, then you need to execute it the same way, or you don't really have a trading strategy. Or you've got a trading strategy, but you're just not following it. So follow it. Don't test it once, don't test it twice. Test it several times. Make sure that the outcome is repeatable before you put live money on the line. Now, I got turned on to a book that kind of opened my eyes or switched things up for me a number of years ago. And it's a book called Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. And that is a fabulous read. It's also available on Audible. Heck, there's even a video or two on YouTube recording sessions where he's taught paying students the concepts of the book. I would recommend that you read it. Buy yourself a copy. Make it part of your trading library. Make it book number 1 of your trading library. The mental side of the game, is much more important than the mechanics of trading. Because once you've got a trading system, or you've got that one favorite indicator that you use, and I wouldn't cover your chart with a bunch of different indicators. First of all, it's going to create a lot of noise. Second of all, a lot of them do about the same thing. They're lagging indicators that have inputs around the open, the close, the high, and the low of whatever bar they're measuring, or bars they're measuring. But the middle side is is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you're going to struggle. That's where you're going to find it difficult to consistently follow your plan. Emotions are going to pop in. Greed, fear, the two most basic, most powerful emotions in the history of the world. Greed and fear. And you're going to have to learn how to conquer them. Not beat them to a pulp, but make them manageable, because they're always going to be there. Much like that inner voice, that you kind of hear when the universe is trying to give you advance warning of something. There's a lot of times when we need to listen to that inner voice. When we're experiencing greed, the emotions of greed and fear, shut that baby off. I was reading through some of the comments on the videos you guys have been leaving, and I got to say, there's a lot of great stuff in there. Really appreciate the support. A lot of wealth of knowledge in some of those comments. But I can also hear the struggles of people that are not doing so well in their journey. And I got to tell you, you just got to stick with it. Different strokes for different folks. Things that may work for me may not work for you. We all look through things, in our own unique lens. And a certain amount of trading is mechanical. I can give you a strategy, or we can both take the same strategy. And let's talk about that for a second. What makes up a good strategy? Well, in my mind, strategy's got to tell you three things. It's got to tell you where and when to get in, where and when to get out, and your stop loss. Where to place your stop loss. And if it doesn't do those three things, I don't know that I'd call it a strategy. I think I'd call it an indicator that measures price action, or one of the other more popular components of trading. Momentum. There's a whole plethora out there. But I think a trading strategy should tell you where and when to get in, where and when to get out, and where to place your stop loss. And if you got those three things, then I would say the system could be described as very mechanical. But would the same 5 people, or if you got a group of 5 people together, or 10 people together, would they come up with the same outcome? Would they identify answers to those 3 questions? And if their answer is a resounding yes, then you got a strategy. Now you just got to test it. Does it consistently produce more winners over losers over time? And if it does, fantastic. You're on your way. If it doesn't, then I'd say you got to keep looking. Or go back to the earlier part of the video where I was describing, changing some of or tweaking some of the variables against the losers, but then retesting it again to make sure, or to see how it affects the winners. Because again, don't focus on the one win. Don't focus on the one loss. Learn to understand that trading is a long game. At least for folks like us, folks that are going to work every day, don't have the luxury or don't want the luxury of sitting in front of a computer screen all day, trying to day trade. Nothing against day trading. You can make a lot of money day trading. It just doesn't fit into my lifestyle. And if you're following along in these videos, I would say it probably doesn't fit in yours either. If you're a day trader, glad to have you. Psychology is a big part of the formula, but you're not gonna find any tips and tricks for scalping the market, on a 15-minute chart on this channel. but glad to have you nonetheless. Hey folks, I think I got out everything I wanted to say today. Another great video. Love riding down the highway on the way to work in the morning and just having a chat with you guys. Get close to the plant. Gonna go pound out another shift. It's Wednesday, hump day. Hope you guys have a blessed day. See you on the next clip.